Hello, Quesnel, and welcome to Q Today. I'm Allison Duddy.
And I'm Mitch Vick, and this is our show for March the 12th.
Our top stories from The Observer: Councillor Mike Cave wants GMOs labelled, and Independent MLA Bob Simpson questions proposed law intentions.
And coming up later in the show, we have Nate in conversation with Bonnie LeClerc on the Quesnel chapter of the Kidney Foundation of Canada, BC Division.
Great. Okay, so here at Q Today, we bring you the recent news provided by our partnership with the Quesnel Caribou Observer, combined with a bit of our own commentary. And we also bring you our own stories from the community. Remember though, we just give the highlights, so if you want to get all the details, pick up your copy of the Quesnel Caribou Observer. Now, over to Mitch here for the news.
Thanks, Allison.
Of course.
Councillor Mike Cave has brought forward a resolution which, if passed, would see genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, required on food labels in BC. GMOs refer to a wide range of organisms which are modified through genetic engineering. These include bacteria, insects, fish, mammals, and plants, some of which make their way into the food we eat. He says, "I'm not against these products being sold, I just think producers should be upfront about the methods they use." His proposed resolution, which reads, "Whereas currently in BC, food producers are not obligated to disclose whether their products contain genetically modified organisms, and whereas the long-term effects of GMOs is still unknown, will be debated for the first time in May during the North Central Local Government Association in Quesnel. If successful, it will then be up for debate at the UBCM convention in September to be held in Vancouver." Cave also thinks labeling is important because we don't know the long-term effects of GMOs. He continues, "Look at how long it took for trans fats to be recognized as dangerous. To show there is public interest in the matter, a Facebook page titled 'I support mandatory GMO labeling in BC' was created. Cave is hoping to gather as many likes as possible on the page to show public support. You can visit the Facebook page for information and to share ideas about GMO labeling."
Very interesting story, Mitch.
You know what? I'm gonna say that's a good idea.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know, there's a lot of rules on what you have to put on in terms of ingredients in the food. So why not be very transparent and show exactly how you're preparing some of those ingredients?
Yeah, and give people the choice.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, at least give people the option. I know farmers markets, one of the things that Mr. Cave said in his interview, farmers markets have become a lot more popular for that reason.
Exactly, because people want to make a choice not to have that
That's right.
type of ingredient in their food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving along, recently Mayor Mary Sjostrom and local resident Gloria Lazarin were both awarded a Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal, and now we have another recipient to tell you about. Last week, in honor of the contributions he's made to the Caribou Chilcotin, CRD Chair Al Richmond was presented with the medal by Mayor and CRD Director Mary Sjostrom. It is a privilege to serve the residents of Electoral Area G and the Regional District. It's a role I take very seriously and am dedicated to making sure the voice of our residents is heard by senior levels of government, Richmond stated. Mayor Sjostrom said, "I congratulate Chair Richmond on this prestigious, well-deserved award." She continued, "Al is an elected official who represents not only his community and the region, but who also contributes to many aspects of local government across the province through his work with the Union of BC Municipalities." The article went on to outline many of Richmond's achievements, which you can check out in Wednesday's Caribou Observer.
Way to go, Al.
You bet. There have been a few of those floating around. That's nice to see.
Yeah.
Some local residents get those.
Absolutely. Well, in other news, Independent MLA Bob Simpson is wondering whether the Liberal government is serious about their proposed law to enable the conversion of volume-based forest licenses to area-based tenures. In April 2012, a leaked document pointed to the government's lack of sincerity. Simpson says, "It's clear from the leaked document and Minister Thompson's letter that Hampton Affiliates has already been promised the first tree farm license under the Liberal proposed legislation." Simpson asserts Hampton was given preferential treatment. He argues that there is not enough timber in the Highway 16 corridor to sustain all the mills that are currently operating there. He has called on the government to work with the community of Burns Lake to find other things to do instead of resurrecting their lumber mill. Q Today will continue to work on this story, but have not yet been able to contact other provincial candidates for their perspective on the story.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Sure.
We definitely have to have some solutions. If there's not enough supply to operate a mill, then we need a solution for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Artemisia Gentileschi may not conjure up the image of the 17th century female artist. At that time, most of her contemporary artists and scholars believed women were not considered smart enough to work, let alone create great works of art. Now, despite Artemisia's considerable success in her career, through the centuries, her name has sort of faded off into obscurity. However, as a testament to her talent, Artemisia's work has not only survived, but is now considered master quality paintings, and the artist a professional, independent woman remarkable for her time and even today. Although her body of work is not huge, less than 100 confidently attributed to this artist, her stature as an artist and recognition of her contribution to the world of art has soared in the 20th century as more and more of her life and work have been publicly acknowledged. Now, this is all leading up to the current show at the Quesnel Art Gallery is called The Artemisians. It's a tip of the hat by 6 local artists to one of the first professional female artists. 5 of the artists attended acrylic painting classes, with the 6th, Sybil Mushik, who said the term Artemisians was in honor of the strength Artemisia showed in her often difficult pursuit of artistic expression. Now, the other 5 artists include Megan Long, Krista Chrisman, Zoe Strang, Ellen Facey, and Joan Burke. The Artemisians show, sponsored by West Fraser Mills, is in the Quesnel Art Gallery at the Quesnel and District Arts and Recreation Centre, Tuesday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. until the end of March. So, sounds interesting.
It does.
Yeah. Sounds like a good one.
Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Quesnel is gearing up for their annual Bowl for Kids' Sake, taking place April 28th. The theme for the event this year is Birthday Bash. They are in need of 9 more lane sponsors, so if you're interested, give Joni a call to learn more about how you can contribute. Teams are also needed. You can register and collect pledges online at bigbrothersbigsistersofquesnel.ca. You will then be entered into a draw for a $100 Mark's Work Warehouse gift card. If you would like to participate, call Joni to book your team for the hour-and-a-half session. Coworkers, families, and friends can form 5-member teams, collect pledges, and come out and bowl at Rev Bowling Lanes. If you are unable to play, you can still pledge or send a tax-deductible donation. BBBS Quesnel serves more than 190 children and youth in the community last year, and the funds from this event help sustain the programs there. On another note, Big Brothers Big Sisters Quesnel will also start selling tickets for their WestJet raffle on May the 15th.
Be sure and get your tickets for that. I can't remember who won it last year, but I remember we did a story on it. It was kind of a neat thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on into sports. In Super League Curling, the playoffs continued with Douglas Lake Equipment taking their game against A&W 10-5. Willis Harper won 7-6 in the extra end down to the last rock against Investors Group. The Child Development Center was the favorite against the Billy Barker, but it was the Billy crew who took the game quite handily at 10-2. Now, the Lone B event game saw Jar Transportation take down Frank's Supermarket in only 4 ends, and Sky High Scaffolding postponed their second game in as many weeks, this time against Karen's Health Foods. Playoffs wrap up this week, and we will keep you posted here at Q Today, who ends up on top and who ends up on the bottom.
Coming down now to the wire.
That's right, you bet.
Awesome. As Ron mentioned in our last show, the under-19 North Stars Ringette team was in Langley recently and won their provincial championship. Jonas Gagnon, Observer reporter, wrote a story on the event in Wednesday's paper, outlining their road to the championship. Don McMartin, the team's head coach, was happy with his team's performance, saying that it was the team's goal over the course of the season to win the provincials. He said, They came ready to win and skated the other teams into the ground with
like that.
authority. McMartin also said, the girls are now practicing hard to get into shape for the Western Championship, which starts March 27th. Best of luck to the team at the event.
You bet. I don't think they lost a game at all this whole season, or they didn't lose a tournament. They won every tournament that they entered, including provincials. So
Yeah.
hopefully they'll have a good shot at the Western Championship
Hope so.
there. All right, as Mitch mentioned earlier, Bonnie LeClerc of the Quesnel branch of the Kidney Foundation of Canada BC Division was good enough to sit down and talk with Nate recently. A lot is going on in the field of renal health, and Bonnie's going to tell us a little bit about that. So here's Nate in part one of his conversation with Bonnie LeClerc.
Okay, thanks guys. I'm here with Bonnie LeClerc. Hi Bonnie.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
That's great. So thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you for
We're
inviting
going
us.
to talk about March, because March is Kidney Health Month.
Yes, it is.
Right. And you've been involved in kidney care and support for many years.
Yes.
So first of all, what's your position with the kidney campaign in this?
Okay, I'm currently the president of the Quesnel chapter of the Kidney Foundation BC branch, and I'm also a new Northern Regional Director with the Kidney Foundation, but with the BC branch itself.
Okay. And I remember a couple of years ago when we started this, hey, about 5 years ago
Yeah,
or
we're
something?
coming on 5-6 years, I believe, as we're starting our 6th year.
Mm-hmm. And has it been a positive experience?
It's been really great. There's been a lot of forward movement with our group. A lot of people have been interested. We've been able to help a lot of people, so it's been successful so far.
Okay, so we're going to talk today a little bit about the kidney care and some activities that are happening during this special month of, in March here, because as I said, it's Kidney Health Month. So first of all, you came into this area because it was something very, very close to you, and something that you've had to deal with for quite a while. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I was actually diagnosed at the age of 13 with renal failure, and I was on dialysis back then, and I ended up having a transplant in 1989. And due to normal things and it getting tired out, it's rejected after the 18 years, and I'm now waiting for a second transplant, and I'm doing home dialysis now.
Well, you look good. Does it feel? Do you feel good, or
I feel pretty good most days. You know, you have some days where you just don't feel quite on top of the world, but for the most part, doing the home treatments have been really good for me.
Well, that's great. So, a lot of in Quesnel, how many people would you say have a kidney condition? Are you able to know that, or?
I don't have Quesnel stats offhand because of confidentiality, but from the people that come forward to us, I'd say we have had contact with around, I'd say 50 or 60 people that are in various stages of kidney failure or reduced kidney function.
Okay, then yeah, it's funny. You really want to stay positive because it is a positive story in lots of ways.
It is.
There's been a lot of progress that has happened in the last number of years.
Yes.
So this month has a theme. What's the theme?
The theme is Stop Kidney Attack.
Okay. So stop kidney attack, and that to me means that it's possible to stop it. That means that people can look for signs and take it into their own hands to deal with it.
Exactly. When you're looking at that, the main things are prevention, awareness, and education.
Okay. So let's take them one step at a time. Prevention.
Prevention starts with your knowledge, and so being aware of the warning signs, which can include foamy urine, frequent urination during the night, more often than what you have in the past, a metallic taste in your mouth or a funny taste in your mouth, swelling in your ankles, your hands, and your eyes in the morning, especially in the morning, you'll notice that.
So those are some things to watch.
Those are some of the things to watch.
You go to your GP and tell them tell her or him those conditions?
Yeah, and you can actually go in and ask if you're finding any of these, discuss it with your physician and ask them to do some blood work on you, find out what your kidney functions are. You want to know what your EGFR is.
EGFR.
Yes.
You know, what's really interesting as I'm talking to you, I don't know why I forgot that my dad had this condition, and it was 1970s. And it was just when they started to have transplants, but he didn't get it, and he passed away at a young age. It's so great that nowadays there have been so many advancements.
There are a lot of advances.
So, okay, there are those signs, but for an ordinary person that doesn't have those signs, there's still some kind of things that you can do for kidney health.
Yes, actually, you want to exercise on a regular basis. Two of the main causes of kidney disease are high blood pressure and diabetes.
Okay.
So by keeping a regular exercise routine, you actually lower your blood pressure naturally through doing your exercise, and that will help prevent issues later on with your kidneys. Because often the symptoms are silent for kidney disease. You often don't know you have any issues until you're about 50% of function loss.
Oh, I see.
And then you start feeling these side effects. So it really is, it's a silent disease, and a lot of people actually are caught by going into their GPs and having a routine checkup done once a year, or something else is wrong, and they run a test, and then they find, oh, wait a minute, there's something not right here.
Okay. And so that's when they start to put into motion some kind of a treatment plan.
That's right.
Now, at first, is treatment watch and wait, or or is there something you do right away when they find out?
Well, usually right away what they do is they ask you to reduce your sodium intake. And that's important for all of us. I mean, all the foods that are out there are a lot of processed foods or restaurant foods. A lot of people tend to, for time-wise, go to those things, and added salts and things like that. So you really want to watch your sodium intake.
Okay.
Like I said, exercise is one of them.
Smoking, I guess.
Smoking, yes. Smoking increases blood pressures and it's really not good for any
for anything,
health,
so
right?
it just is compounded when you have a renal problem.
That's right.
Okay, I want to be back with you again next week.
Okay.
Because next week is actually March 14th is actually Kidney Awareness Day, or how do you put it? Is it Kidney Awareness Day?
It is World Kidney Day.
World Kidney Day. So we'll be back then, and I want to talk a little bit about the what activities there are going to be, and also a little bit about the care that people can get in Quesnel.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
We'll be back next week.
Thanks, Nate. You can check out our next show for part 2 of Nate's discussion with Bonnie. Nate also had a conversation recently with Maureen Trotter and Aaron Robinson of the Quesnel Climate Action Group. Maureen and Aaron will be discussing the group's activities, including an all-candidates forum on April the 15th. Let's take a look at Nate in conversation with Maureen and Aaron.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. One of the most important issues, in fact, that it's the most important issue that this Earth is facing, is the fact that we're choking ourselves. We're choking ourselves with all these CO2s that are getting more and more and more. And so what do you do about this? Well, first of all, you deny it, and we're done with the denial stage. And so we have to work on at a national, at a provincial, and at a local level. And I'm here with 2 people that decided that the way that our community can deal with it is to be practical and proactive, and not to take time dealing with all kinds of academic issues, but really what we can do. I'm here with Maureen Trotter. Hi, Maureen.
Hi, Nate.
And you're with the Climate Action Group. And I'm Aaron Robertson. Hi, Aaron.
Hi.
And you're with Baker Creek Enhancement Society.
That's correct.
Yes, and do you know that I was with Baker Creek Enhancement Society 20 years ago? It's a great organization.
Okay, no, I didn't know that.
Yes, we used to meet downtown, and we were focused on Baker Creek, but now, what does the Baker Creek do now, just briefly before we get into climate action?
Well, Baker Creek Enhancement Society runs many projects here in the city of Quesnel, including education for children. We have Salmonids in the Classroom currently running. We run the Earth Day event coming up in April. And we really just focus on what we can do at the ground level to keep people engaged in environmental stewardship.
Okay. And one of the things that Baker Creek has done is donate some of your time to the Climate Action Group.
That is correct, yes. I have about 10 hours roughly a month that I get to work with Maureen and the group and work on some important climate action projects.
Okay. And you must like that, Maureen, having somebody to actually you could depend on to actually be there.
Write the proposals. And
Yeah, because volunteer work is hard, and sometimes you look around and where are the volunteers? Okay, so climate change. Was I correct in saying that you want to look at practical aspects of what our community can do?
Yeah, I think we have a number of things that we're involved in. We want to create awareness about the impact of climate change, and of course in our area with the beetle kill, that's pretty significant in what it's done here. And you know, there's other things too around the increasing costs of fuel that are going to result in lots of changes in the future. We also do things like lobby government to implement policies that would minimize damage to the climate. And foremost, I think we have been doing more practical things that would...
Just before you get off the lobby, there was an example of lobbying government about the Enbridge pipeline. Did the committee take an actual stand there?
We have done a little bit on that. We've written letters. We've submitted made a submission to the in hearings on Enbridge. We were participants in the local demonstration, and but it's one of a number of things that.
It's not all lobbying. It's not all dealing at that level. You were just going to start talking a little bit about practical things, I think.
Well, we'd like to help Quesnel become a bit more self-reliant, be able to meet our needs ourselves, and to become more resilient to the impacts of climate change in the future. So that does mean that we do try and focus on things that we can do locally.
So the group meets once a month?
Once a month. We meet at the Nature Center, which is where Baker Creek is located.
In the West Fraser?
In the West Fraser Timber Park at Tuesday. And our next meeting is I think it is March 26th at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's definitely people are...
Everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome for sure.
Okay. So that's a little bit about the group's philosophy, but you know, it's great because the climate change group has really been doing a lot of practical things. So let's talk a little bit about some of the specific things that you've been accomplishing.
Well, one of the things that we have been working, we tend to try and work with other groups in the community as well. So we have a series of awareness videos that we run with the Friends of the Library at the library. And the March 21st one is going to be Gasland, and it was produced in the States, and it's about fracking and the impact on oil, on the water tables around those in operations.
Right. So fracking is something that is very controversial.
Yes.
And so this this film takes...
It's a real grassroots look at the impact on the local community of fracking operations in the States. So it's timely because we may in the future have that happening in our backyard here as well. It's really having an impact in northern BC.
Do you think there's a conclusion that we could draw about it at this point?
Well, come to the video and see. I mean, I think generally there's lots of concern about water tables, about what happens to the ground when there's, small earthquakes are being seen as a result as well.
Okay, so what was that date again?
That's March 21st.
Right.
At 7 o'clock at the library.
At the library, okay.
And then the April 11th one is called Forks Over Knives. And it's really a promotion of eating healthy plant-based diets as a way to help people become healthy.
Okay.
So that's got a little bit of controversy attached to it as well, so we like that.
I know, but I've been watching I was listening to radio today. You can't have salt, and I like to minimize the salt. I like to minimize the sugar. But you know what they got to? The minimizing cheese. Now, wait a minute. I love cheese. So I guess we'll just have to eat plants. Okay, come to that April what? April what?
April 11th.
April 11th to learn how you love eating weeds. Yeah, actually, our friend Eddie D'Souza, he's part of a website, Eat Weeds.
Oh, is that
That's right. Yeah. So he'll probably be there. Okay, good. No, I don't mean to make fun of it because we've got to move in the right direction.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay. So
Well, to just add a little bit to
Yeah.
that, like we do try and do quite a bit around food security issues, and we actually have a food security subcommittee. And part of that is wanting to really promote local food production and local food consumption. So when you do that, you minimize a lot of transportation, and so that's
I think about that, and I wonder if do you ever think about how we can measure that? Like the 1% of the food that's bought, is that bought locally? Could we get up to 3%? I wonder.
So we are actually planning on, we have a grant proposal in right now to do a food security assessment, it's called. And what it's going to do is really look at our entire food system in Quesnel and ask questions like, where is our food coming from? How much is grown here? What do we have access to? Do all people have access to healthy and nutritious food in their own neighborhoods? And if not, how do we increase the access of food here? And I like to call it getting away from the truck to table phenomenon for all of us.
Truck to table.
We're so used to our food now coming off of trucks, and in previous generations, and a lot of us still today do grow our own food, so getting it from our yard onto our table rather than having it trucked from long distances. So like Maureen said, building this resiliency in our community and this safety net of security for where our food is coming from.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting.
I mean, for so long, food was just not even thought of as an issue by many, many people.
It's true.
It's so wonderful that in the last few years, it is coming to people's consciousness.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean giving up, oranges and melons and bananas in the winter. It just means growing what we can grow here and utilizing more here and minimizing our carbon footprint.
So we can make cheese here, right?
Yes,
Okay,
we certainly
good.
can.
That's it.
But
Okay.
there's also an issue of who has access to food. There are a lot of hungry people in Quesnel, particularly hungry children, and we have started doing some work on this, and the food programs in the schools now are quite extensive to try and meet that need. So we want to try and get a look at the whole system, who doesn't get enough food, what food programs there are. So it's what the food policy is. So for example, can we have bees and chickens in the city of Quesnel? How much are we allowed to turn our front lawns into gardens? Just look, what are the food policies in the institutions that we have in Quesnel? So it's a fairly comprehensive look at our food system, because it's fundamental. Other than air and water, food is the other most critical factor. And some of the other projects that we've been involved in.
And we'll get to the other projects.
Okay.
But we're going to take a break right now and then come back in our next program to talk about the many other things that this great organization is doing. So we'll take a break. See you next program.
And we'll also have part 2 of Nate's discussion with Maureen and Aaron on our next show, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Of course, I'd like to thank the Lions for their continued support of the Q Today show and remind you that their monthly garage sale takes place March 23rd at the Maple Park Mall.
Whatever you think is important, we think is important. So email us at qtoday@qcatv.ca with your story, or ask us to cover a story the community would just love to know more about.
You bet. And you can also watch us online on demand at qcatv.ca, thanks to our colleague Eddie D'Souza. As we leave you today, enjoy some music from Eddie D'Souza's You're the Star with Saskia and Daryl playing Hell or High Water.
I spend